Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Every single day, millions of us pull out a little piece of plastic with those two interlocking circles to pay for, well, pretty much everything. From your morning coffee to international flights, it's just so ubiquitous, right? It feels like a fundamental part of our daily routine. We are talking about a network that processes billions of transactions and literally trillions of dollars in volume every single year. But what is actually happening behind that recognizable logo? How did this specific entity build a global payment empire that essentially acts as the nervous system for the entire modern economy?
Take a second and think about the card sitting in your pocket right now. It is a perfectly logical assumption to make that because MasterCard's name is plastered right there on the front, they're the ones fronting the cash for your purchase. I mean, you're using the card to buy things on credit after all. But let me ask you this fundamental question to test what you really know. Does MasterCard actually lend you money? Let's see if that assumption actually holds up.
Here's the wild part. The great illusion of modern finance is that MasterCard issues credit. In reality, they are simply a data processor. Despite the millions of us who rely on it daily, MasterCard doesn't actually lend you a single cent. And no, they rarely even issue the cards carrying their own logo. They really aren't a bank in the traditional sense at all. So, if they aren't lending out money, what exactly are they doing to build such a massive empire?
To answer that, let's look at the hidden payment empire, tracing the origins of a network.
If we jump back to 1966, we see the birth of the Interbank Card Association, or the ICA. To get why this was necessary, you kind of have to picture the sheer chaos and fragmentation of the banking system back in the late 60s. There was this massive rise in the popularity of bank cards, but local banks were incredibly isolated. They quickly realized, hey, we need a unified system to handle transactions outside our immediate neighborhoods. So the ICA was formed specifically to enter into fierce competition with Bank Americard, which was the giant of the day, to capture this rising trend. It wasn't one single bank, it was a strategic alliance, a sprawling network of banks teaming up to create order out of absolute chaos.
Moving on to building a global brand and achieving international acceptance. So as they enter this next phase, the network focused heavily on turning the domestic alliance into a true international powerhouse. They relentlessly pursued global acceptance. Think about how tough it must have been to establish cross-border financial trust in an era before the internet even existed. They had to somehow convince merchants in Paris, Tokyo, and Buenos Aires that a paper slip from a small local bank halfway across the world was absolutely good for the money. By standardizing the payment experience, they built a visual and technological language that crossed borders seamlessly. That is how they built a powerful brand that people everywhere could instantly trust. Next up is the technology revolution, evolving the payment experience.
To combat rising threats and some seriously sophisticated fraud, they introduced secure microchips embedded directly into the payment cards. Before this, you just had simple magnetic stripes with static data, which meant they were super easy for bad actors to skim and copy. The EMV chip card was an absolute game changer because it totally shifted the security paradigm. Instead of static data, that little chip creates a dynamic, one-time code for every single transaction. So even if a thief manages to intercept the data from one purchase, it's completely useless for the next one. It drastically enhanced fraud prevention overnight.
And once the microchip secured the transaction itself, the focus shifted to minimizing friction for us, the users. This brought us into the era of tap-and-go speed with contactless payments. Because let's face it, nobody wanted to wait around to insert a card and punch in a PIN for a quick cup of coffee or a train ticket. Contactless prioritized user speed and pure convenience at the checkout counter, letting you just wave your card over a terminal without sacrificing an ounce of that chip-grade security.
But you know, the evolution didn't stop at physical plastic. The card eventually merged with our phones through mobile wallets, enabling the digital storage of your payment info right on your device for seamless digital commerce. This was, without a doubt, MasterCard's masterstroke, becoming completely invisible. By integrating directly into systems like Apple Pay and Google Pay, they secured their relevance without us even needing to carry a physical wallet. They morphed from a physical token in your pocket into a ubiquitous digital protocol operating quietly in the background of your life.
Which brings us to their secret business model, the toll booth of global commerce. Let's pull back the curtain on how this massive technological architecture actually generates its wealth. The exact moment you initiate a swipe or a tap, your data zips across MasterCard's vast digital plumbing. The merchant system sends your request through this global network routing, which then talks to your specific partner bank to verify the funds. As that data zips across the network and the approval comes back, MasterCard takes its cut. The absolute key takeaway here is that the partner bank assumes all the actual risk of you defaulting, while MasterCard simply charges a fee for the transmission. MasterCard is literally just operating the digital highway you drove on to make the purchase.
And because they operate that highway, they reap billions in rewards. Now, to be fair, the bulk of the fee a merchant pays actually goes to the issuing bank to cover the credit risk. MasterCard just charges a tiny network assessment fee for making the connection. But this is the ultimate high-volume game. By collecting just fractions of a penny on tens of thousands of transactions every single second of every single day, it adds up. They quietly earn billions of dollars annually. Their sheer global scale makes it an incredibly profitable machine.
When you look at where those billions come from, you find an amazingly lucrative, basically risk-free profit engine powered by three main things. Transaction fees are the core, but they're heavily supported by deep bank partnerships and by providing vast global payment network services. It's a flawless setup. They provide the highly secure infrastructure, the banks take on all the credit risk, and MasterCard just effortlessly collects the toll every single time the system is used.
Finally, let's look at the cashless future and how they are securing tomorrow's commerce. As we barrel toward a fully cashless society, physical currency is vanishing, meaning the only thing validating a transaction is pure data. To survive in this invisible, digital-first world, they are going all in on artificial intelligence and advanced cybersecurity. MasterCard deploys complex AI that evaluates your transaction in milliseconds. When you tap your phone, algorithms are instantly checking hundreds of variables like purchase location anomalies, or even how fast you're typing and holding your device to detect fraud before it even happens. Their entire survival relies on elite cybersecurity to keep that network impenetrable.
When you distill this entire explainer down to its core essence, you hit on a really profound truth. MasterCard doesn't make products, it built trust. And trust itself turned out to be one of the world's most valuable businesses. Whether it was a loose alliance of fragmented banks trying to connect back in the 60s, or sophisticated AI running fraud detection in milliseconds today, their actual product has always been the ironclad guarantee that a transaction is safe.
So I want to leave you with this. The next time you tap your phone or card for a coffee, ask yourself, in a truly cashless society, who holds the ultimate power? Is it the bank holding the funds, you making the purchase, or the invisible toll booth operator seamlessly processing the data that connects the whole world? Think about that for a while.